Hello, I'm Otto, and welcome to my channel update. So, I generally think channel updates are lame, but then I thought about it and I was like, I don't really have a way of communicating like what I have in store and what's in the pipeline. So, here we go, channel update. So, as of this recording, the last episode for my Factorio 2.0 no DLC guide for new players will have concluded. And some people might be wondering, well, what is in store? Like, what's next? So a week and a half ago, I took a poll and asked, okay, if I was gonna do a DLC run, if I was gonna do a space age guide, like, what would you prefer? Would you prefer me to continue on this seed where we are, which I I swapped these over to petroleum gas because yeah, just having these on light oil was a bad idea. Or would I um, play this seed again and do it with the DLC enabled, with Space Age enabled? Or would I do a new seed with new builds, like new, basically as much new stuff as I could, and cover the DLC stuff? And you guys overwhelmingly voted for a new seed, new builds with the DLC content. So that is what I have been working on. I You may have noticed that some of the videos early on were just kind of posted whenever, and then I started getting into a little bit of a schedule on posting them. Some days I would post more, some less. It seems like roughly two a day would probably be best. I think more than three a day or three or more a day is maybe a little bit overwhelming for some of the players that aren't necessarily as fast as some of the others. And you know what? That's fine. Like, however you're going to play the game, and even if you are going through and taking your time playing the game, these videos will be there when you're ready for them, right? So I think two a day is fine. But what that meant for me was while I have been posting two a day, a lot of those videos had been not just pre-recorded, but pre-edited. So I've had the last like week and a half or so to continue working on DLC content. A lot of that hasn't necessarily been spent recording. I do have a lot of the DLC recorded. A lot of that was actually spent on concepts and new builds, and not new builds for the sake of making new builds. I needed new content, but not at the sake of just making new content. So I wanted to have things proper and functionable and make sense and thematic in in certain situations. So in the DLC content, you can definitely look forward to a lot of new designs. The most time-consuming design that I had was my new shopping mall. I had three different iterations, and each one took me probably 6 to 8 hours each. So I had like 3 days of just nothing but designing shopping malls. Anyways, enough of that. We got, new train blueprints, new city block. I wanted to make sure that things that work on Novice also work on some of the DLC content. So you can definitely look forward to a lot of that. So what comes after that guide? And I should also state that um, just for the sake of the longevity of the channel, or for the sake of the health of the channel, that guide also needed to be very new player friendly. So if you have already seen my no DLC run and you start watching this, like, you will end up having situations where you're like, okay, well, he said a lot of this, or it is going to be targeted to new players. But I can also say that any future guides that I make for Factorio will not be targeted at new players. It will be under the presumption that you've been playing the game and maybe you just want to watch something different. And I have some ideas, future concepts for stuff like that. So that is also in the pipeline. I've been saying, before I started creating videos for this content, I was like, you know what? For those of you that are in the know, I was like, you know what? I want to have a situation where I want to take quality in the DLC to heart. I want to play with quality in mind. I want to have builds that are based around quality. So I want to have. I think eventually I'll have a playthrough where I'm gonna largely focus on quality. Um, I also I every single time that I play this game, I end up with a bus, and a bus is just so powerful. And I also want to have a playthrough that is separate from the quality playthrough. I want to have a playthrough that, for instance, largely focuses on trains. I had a nearly, I had a close experience to that whenever I played the Crastorio mod. I think like 2 years ago, and I nearly had a full train based factory. And I think that now that I have many, 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 many more hours under my belt in Factorio, I can definitely take that concept, using some of the DLC stuff like the elevated rails and stuff like that, and create a base that is largely train based. Uh, it might be a little bit difficult on some of the planets, like maybe Volcanus to a degree, and certainly on Fulgora that would be extremely difficult. But yeah, I'm gonna see if I can make it work in the future. Um, so I'm gonna take the weekend. I will not be posting any videos tomorrow or in the weekend, but you will start to see the early episodes of the DLC content starting next week. I will start posting more videos on Monday. Um, and well, what comes after this? Like what? Now, to be fair, this is going to be a very long guide. Obviously, it's probably at least twice the content. So if my first guide was 48 episodes, we can probably reasonably assume that the DLC is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe on the low end like 80 videos, but maybe on the higher end somewhere between 100 and 120. I don't know for sure. It might be way like that, might be way undercutting or way over. Uh, but it's definitely going to be a larger guide for sure. Um, and then after the DLC, sometime last year, I had a buddy that was like, "Hey, um, you should try this other game." So I have a game that I'm going to be playing after the DLC. I don't think it's going to be a guide. The only way that I can maybe turn it into a guide is if it's very, very similar, which I hear it kind of is in some aspects. And if I have a chance to play through the game before I start posting videos. I am going to pick up Foundry, which I currently do not own. A lot of the reviews are positive. Most of the negative reviews come from the fact that um, the game is taking a long time to update. It seems like the updates are very drawn out, and that's the biggest negative that I've seen from the game. Other than that, I'm completely blind. I've seen the trailer. I have maybe seen some of the reviews on Steam. I have no idea what to expect from this game, so it might not necessarily be as much of a guide as it might be more of kind of like a let's play. Um, so after I have the DLC guide for new players, I will be doing a Foundry playthrough. And depending on how that goes, maybe if I like it, I'll keep playing. If I don't like it, that'll be difficult. The thing that I can maybe compare that to is I followed Tectonica I was very much paying attention to what was going on there. I have not put more than 10 hours into that game. I cannot get into it. Their UI is just so abysmally not like it's just not easy on the eyes in my opinion, and I just could not get past that. So it's a very difficult game for me to attempt getting into, which I've tried 3 times. Yes, I've played 10 hours and have tried 3 times. That just kind of goes to show like how much I do not like the UI. I've also had suggestions that maybe I should try like doing a Dyson Sphere program or Satisfactory guide. Um, I My wife has also said the same thing. She thinks that I should make guides for these. However, I don't feel like I could bring anything new to the table. Um, if people still just wanted to watch me play that, then that is fine. I can mix that in between some of the Factorio content that I'll have coming out. I would probably do Dyson Sphere Program first. I feel like that's the first automation game that I played, so that's maybe where I have the most potential input for something like that. And again, a lot of like those games are a lot more simple than Factorio, so um, the complexity of Factorio is just absolutely insane. I don't feel like there's very much variation, especially in Satisfactory. Like once you've built a manifest, I mean, they're all kind of the same after that. So it would be less, you know, show your work. It would be more like, okay, this is how we're going to do this. Now I'm going to cut to the 2 hours that it takes me to actually build this out and maybe explain what's going on after. Dyson Sphere Program would probably be a lot more like, yeah, let's show our work and set everything up. But anyways, that's kind of where my content is headed at the moment. And yes, that is all focused on like factory automation games. That's not necessarily everything that I will be putting out on this channel. But for starters, like I would like to help build this community. And again, one of the reasons why I made the DLC, the no DLC guide, and now making the DLC guide was I felt like players deserved something more updated, more modern. So I definitely want to continue to give back to that community and bring more to the table for Factorio. So uh, look out for my DLC guide starting next week. After the DLC guide, I will be picking up Foundry and playing that. After Foundry, we will be coming back to Factorio, and I will either do a quality playthrough or a train focused playthrough. After that, depending on what kind of feedback I get from this video, maybe I will try out, posting videos for Dyson Sphere Program or Satisfactory. To be honest, we're expecting an update for Dyson Sphere Program soon, so maybe if we're lucky, that'll come out and I could have some content based around that as well. But anyways, I also just wanted to say thank you. Like I've read every single comment. I haven't necessarily responded to all of them, but for the time being, I am capable of responding to all or most of them. I read every single one of them. You know, a lot of you guys have been subscribing and liking my videos, which is fantastic. Like, I'm not one to beg, so I'm not going to sit there and beg you to like or subscribe or anything like that. I feel like if the content is good enough, you guys know what to do, right? You want to follow along, you're going to end up subscribing. If you don't, hey, you know what? Thank you for watching the video. So I am going to leave it at that. That is what you can expect in the near future. And um, I hope that you guys enjoyed the guide. And yeah, that is it for me. Obviously, we had some ups and downs, some good episodes, some bad episodes. They can all be winners. That's okay. That just makes it, more authentic, right? Okay, that's it for me. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next week when we start the DLC guide.